here? Come on up. For those of you that knew Josh well, you probably agree that his family did him justice, did a really good job doing justice to his character and his life. My name is Sam, and I met Josh in college, and we went to the U of A together. I lived in the Yavapai dorm in Tucson during the first year, and many of the tenants there already knew each other, and especially if they all lived in the same wing. I knew absolutely nobody as a freshman, but I met some people and heard about others. And it seemed everybody in the wing was known for some characteristic or eccentricity or something. Sometimes they were, really descriptive, and sometimes they were really silly and shallow. For example, we had this Hungarian guy, Gergely, who was really good at math and science, and he was known for that. And his roommate, Mike, was known as Gergely's roommate. Ben was Jewish Ben. Jake was Piano Jake. Eric was Asian Eric. Many of those people I met, but I kept hearing a couple of names that I'd never put a face to, and one of them was Spiky Josh.
Spiky Josh.
So named, of course, for his ROTC coiffure. When I met Josh, he found out that I was in the Marines, and I can't remember exactly, it was 11 years ago, but I think I offered to help him shine his shoes or something. And I met him in his room, and after all, the military is all about being neat and orderly, which we all know Josh is, or was. When I got there, his room was an explosion of clothing and military equipment, some of which was shoved carefully underneath the bed, but most of which was strewn all about the floor. There were hints of white tile poking out, so apparently he had just cleaned. We discovered that we shared an interest in music, and I always had difficulty making friends, but somehow, probably due to his natural tendency to make friends, we became close. The next year, he moved into my apartment, and we all have our eccentricities, and I found out over the years that Josh had many. He seemed as though he was going through life, discovering something new and surprising at every turn. What you and I might have seen as mundane, Josh saw as interesting and complex. A side effect of this quirk was a tendency to do things a little bit out of the ordinary, like ask the waitress everything about a dish or something else. Josh was never good with money. Sometimes I thought this was amusing, but when he moved out of my apartment in May of our sophomore year, he was 3 weeks behind in rent. He was working as a busboy at the time. Was always short of cash. And I say cash because that's literally, he only had cash. I don't think he had a bank account. But one day when I came home, I found a neat stack, 200 $1 bills with a note that said rent.
What?
These are the memories that he leaves with us. Memories of his personality, of his unique way of living and dealing with many adversities that life threw at him. We remember his Josh-like way of expressing excited interests. He would say, yes, or how he expressed annoyance. My favorite, what the crap. And then, of course, his expression of dismay, oh, suck. For those of us that rode with him in cars, We're certain to remember his driving, holding on for dear life as the car in front of you on the freeway came within spitting distance. We'll remember his natural talent for picking up and improvising harmonies, his remarkable memory. I'll certainly never be able to forget the one guy I knew that could crush me at PlayStation Jeopardy. We'll remember his childish naivete. I recall a time in Vegas when he went to a production at Ballet's with my dad, a showgirls production, and he exclaimed, "Oh my God, they're topless." I'll miss him. I'll miss us harmoniously serenading girls at karaoke bars to We've Lost That Loving Feeling. I'll miss him eating random food out of my fridge, waiting 2 hours for him to show up to anything. He was a great friend and he went out of his way to spend time with Jen and I. Despite the fact that among his friends and family, we're the black sheep. We're opposites from him in some of the most fundamental ways, but it didn't matter. We were friends anyways. He was a conservative, we're liberal. He's very religious, we're atheists. He studied politics, we studied science. But none of that mattered. It's a testament to his ability to make friends. He was always willing to lend a helping hand just because he could. One time he showed up at my grandparents' anniversary. I think it was their 60th anniversary. He showed up just to valet guests, just because he could, for free. It might seem kind of strange, but I'd like to paraphrase a passage from Corinthians. Love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it is not rude, it is not easily angered, and it keeps no record of wrongs. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. Love never fails, and now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Josh had a character to be admired. He loved all those around him and had an amazing ability to set aside differences. I think Jen and I are key evidence of that fact. He dealt with adversities that most of us would find almost unbearable. You know, Aristotle once wrote that the beauty of the soul shines out when a man bears with composure one heavy mischance after another. Not because he's not feeling, but because he's a man of high and heroic take. Let's keep Josh in our memories. Keep those memories dear, and keep them true. We will honor him by it.
Phil?
It's an honor to be here and with all of you and remember Josh. I've always had a kind of a hope in my heart, I guess you'd say, that Josh would call me and Josh would get married someday. I always kind of, was looking forward to meeting the woman that Josh would find, and who is this? How unique could she be, right? So, but I always had this hope and this desire. I've never written a toast before, and I always hoped that Josh would call me and say, "Hey, come to my wedding and give me a toast," or something like that. So I've written a toast for Josh, and I've been told that in Hollywood, when a comedian dies, all the other comedians get together at the service, and they actually just do a roast for the guy and tell a lot of jokes about him and stuff. So. If you don't know Josh as well, don't be offended, but if you know him like me, and as his parents described, he was very complicated and had many different passions, and